What's up, guys? Welcome to the new Drew Review set, where today we're going to fight to survive. It's Bloodsport next on Drew Reviews. So, guys, welcome back. As you can see, my new set's still kind of unfinished, but I wanted to shoot in here. So if there's any echo, I apologize for the reverb. I don't have any furniture, anything in here. But eventually I am going to, put trim around this and hang some guitars. It's going to look really cool. But today, to christen this new space, I wanted to talk about a fun movie, man. And that is Bloodsport, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. You know, in my best of 1988, I said that Bloodsport is my second favorite movie of that year, just behind Die Hard, and it is. It's pretty close, but I like Die Hard just a little bit more. But this movie, man, is so much fun. This story, of course, stars Jean-Claude Van Damme as the mythical character of Frank Dukes. I like to call him that because, some of the stats at the end of this movie that they talk about Frank Dukes having, I don't know that a person could do that. I hear that he told a lot of tall tales. He was, I guess, a legit martial arts expert. I'm not going to say I'm an expert on Frank Duke's career, but from what I understand, there was a lot of BS there. But the basic premise of Bloodsport is Dukes has this military leave owed to him, and he's getting ready to go to this Kumite, this really dangerous underground fight tournament over in Hong Kong. And the U.S. government gets wind of this, and so they send two agents, Rawlings, played by Forrest Whitaker, and his superior, who I can't remember his name right now, but I know he was in like Diamonds Are Forever with Sean Connery. But that's basically it. They're trying to catch him, and it's him and his quest to win this Kumite to honor his Shidoshi. But the thing I like about this movie is the performance of Jean-Claude Van Damme. This is one of his best performances right here. Frank Dukes, like I said, he was kind of a jerk and a liar, and a lot of people have a lot of bad things to say about him. But Van Damme takes this character and makes him very likable. You're rooting for him as he goes through, especially against a lot of these unlikable characters in this tournament. This movie is a canon movie, and when you think canon movie, you think low budget, and for the most part, a lot of those are. But this movie feels really epic in scope. Whether you've got Helmer and Rawlings chasing him across Hong Kong, in the streets, and of course Van Damme, he's waving at him and leaning up against posts, trying to get them to catch up so he can get away from him again, just toying with them, cat and mouse. They go across the river there, and they fall over in the boats, and everybody starts laughing. But the scene I really like that really feels epic in scope is when he's on the ledge there at his hotel, doing the splits, and he's breathing and just going through his movements and practicing, and you see the skyline of Hong Kong. That shot is just gorgeous and one of my favorite shots in the movie, and it just makes it feel like, you think canon films, you don't think something big like that, but yeah, this movie feels big for the most part. When I get to my dislikes, I'll talk about things that look kind of cheap. I love the soundtrack to this movie. Stan Bush did a lot of the songs on the soundtrack. And when you think Stan Bush, you think 80s. And this movie just whisks you back to that time, a more innocent time. I think of Transformers the movie, which was one of my first reviews on this channel. And I kind of cringed to go back and see that. But, he says, "You got the touch." This movie has its own gems, like Fight to Survive, the Kumite song. It's really good. On My Own is a good song. There's a guy named Michael Bishop who did Steal the Night, when he's going through the city of Hong Kong there. Just some great music that whisks you straight into Bloodsport. You hear it and you go, yeah, that's Bloodsport. I like the love interest in this movie. Usually in a martial arts movie like this, you put a love interest in there, and it's just cringy. But I thought the actors did a good job as this reporter trying to find out about the Kumite. And, the scenes between her and Van Damme, who at the time, he wasn't a very accomplished actor yet. He'd just done a couple of things. And I thought their dynamic was pretty good there. And speaking of chemistry, I love the chemistry between Ray Jackson in this movie, played by Donald Gibb from Revenge of the Nerds, and Frank Dukes, played by Van Damme. From the time they meet in that hotel lobby and they're playing the video game till the end, when Van Damme has defended his honor against Chong Li. I love that, and I love that last scene. They have a pretty deep scene there at the end of the movie. Whenever you need me, I'll be there. I love the interaction between those two characters. The other thing about Bloodsport that is just awesome is the varying styles of these characters in this Kumite fight. You know, one thing I used to love about UFC when it started in the 90s was you would have a wrestler like Dan Severn, you know, taking on, you know, the Gracies who did jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. You had varying styles. You might have sumo wrestler, you might have a karate guy, whatever. You know, now in the UFC, I don't watch it because everybody looks the same. They're all tatted up guys in black trunks, and they all fight the same hybrid style. And that's smart to be able to fight a lot of styles, but it's also not as entertaining as seeing like Van Damme go up against that sumo wrestler, or that sumo wrestler going up against that African fighter, you know, who jumps and rolls, barrel rolls as he fights. You know, there's some Muay Thai guys in there, and I think that's kind of what UFC is missing. I think they would have more fans if they would go back to that kind of style, and I really appreciate that here in Bloodsport. Like I said, all those characters are really good. The Muay Thai guy, Paco, you know, he cheats in his fight against Dukes. I like him. But Bolo Yeung's performance as Chong Li is one of the best things about this movie. This movie would not be nearly the movie it is without his performance. You know, he hospitalizes Ray Jackson, Frank Duke's best friend, takes his Harley Davidson bandana, and before they get ready to have their fight in the finals, you know, ties it around his knee for Van Damme to see. The WWE, you know, they could watch this movie and learn about getting heat on their bad guys by watching Bolo Yeung's performance as Chong Li here. And I love the character arc that Chong Li has. You know, in the beginning, he's the former Kumite champion, and so everybody is cheering for him to win this, you know, Chong Li, Chong Li. And, you know, that's great. But then, you know, as he breaks that guy's neck in the semis, everybody turns their back. People start cheering for Dukes. And I love that. That's a very interesting turn on this movie. Now, there are some things in this movie that kind of make me turn my head sideways. Like whenever young Frank Dukes goes in to steal that katana from the man who would become his master, you know, he decides to train him up. The kid that they chose to do the acting, between the accent and the acting, it's just, you look at that and you're just like, ooh, that's not good. It's not good. They have that scene on the playground where some bullies take out his Shidoshi's son, and so, you know, he throws a roundhouse and takes them out, and he stands there in this stance, but he's not entirely committed to the martial arts stance. You can tell he doesn't really know martial arts, and it's just, you can tell they're acting there, and it's really bad. They should have took a second take, a third take at that shot. And this next point is nitpicking, but while this movie feels epic in scope, you can tell that arena that Cannon shot in was actually like a warehouse, because, you know, they have this warehouse wall where there's concrete, but there's like brick coming through it, but you can tell that's like wallpaper. There's no depth to it. I watched it the other day and I'm like, I'd never noticed that before. You know, as you pick up on little things, the more and more you watch a movie. You know, even the scenes there in that final fight on the platform where Chong Li throws the salt in Frank Duke's eyes and he's yelling into the nothingness. Just, that could be seen as cringeworthy, but that to me is so bad, it's good. And to me, that's a positive. But this movie is so quotable, man. Whether, you know, they're having Van Damme, you know, do the death touch. You got Ray Jackson, what the heck's a Din Mac? Okay, USA, and, you know, Dukes, like, put up your Dukes, right? Just instantly quotable movie. But I just absolutely love Bloodsport. I'm going to give Bloodsport an 8.1 out of 10. But yeah, man, this film is a lot of fun. And for a Cannon film, to me, it looks big and amazing. Some great choreography. You know, 8.1, I'm thinking maybe I need to go higher than 8.1 for this film. But yeah, if you haven't seen Bloodsport in a while, check it out. I know it's out there on some streaming services. It's one of my favorite Van Damme performances next to like Lionheart. Coming up next, I'm going to finish up Fridays. I kind of got tired of talking about Friday the 13th, so I threw this out on a Friday instead. I got Friday Part 6, Jason Lives, coming next week, and that will be the last one. I might catch a 5, 8, Jason Goes to Hell, you know, a remake later on down the line, maybe Jason X. But action-wise, I know I've got The Road Warrior coming. You guys want to see Big Trouble in Little China. Enemy Mine is out there. I'm thinking about doing all these, you know, as we get into the fall. So Be looking for those. If you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, I'm Andrew, and I'll see you down the line.